This message is for you if you find this message on a full moon. Today is April 1st, and it is the pink moon that's occurring tonight. And this message is for any healers, light workers, intuitives, empaths. If you don't identify with any of that and this message came up for you, that's perfectly fine. So typically, I don't use cards for reading. I close my eyes and I look at colors and I read from the energy of colors, but sometimes it's nice to have a visual. So today, for our themes for this full moon and to get guidance and support that's helpful for us, I'm using the Secret Language of Light deck by Denise Jarvie. Usually read without looking at cards. I'm going to pull the energy from the card first, give the guidance, and then use the card as a visual to help support the meaning. Okay. Okay. I'm seeing in my mind the image of a banana. And my first thought, the feelings that were coming up with it was kind of a goofy energy. You see bananas and comedy when people slip on them, even bananas in pajamas. I was getting kind of a fun, playful vibe with this, but then I started to see the banana being peeled, and it was meaning for me that there are layers that are coming off now with this full moon and the shedding that's going to allow more of that playful energy. It feels like we've been stuck in the serious energy of the world. Most people have something going on in their personal lives as well that's been challenging. And there's certainly been a lot of heaviness. And especially if you are a light worker and empath healer, you feel that and you feel that deeply. So, although the heaviness feels particularly solid and dense today, this card gives me hope that some of that is being felt and coming up to be cleared and to be let go. Let me check in with the energy of this card as if there's any particular guidance or anything specific about what's being released. I'm hearing that with the pink moon, pink symbolizes love, feminine nature, softness. So part of what's being shed is the rigidity and the structure that has been imposed as part of patriarchal society. A lot of us are moving into more of a divine flow. I'm hearing it's more of moving into a space that has schedule for nourishment. We're making plans to still complete all the things that need to be done, but in a way where we have our presence, our full present awareness, and everything that we're doing so that there's more balance. We're not just doing, we're being while we're doing, and also allowing time for just that state of being without doing. What does this card say? Literally let go. Couldn't be more perfect. Yeah, and now that I'm looking at the card, I see the sword. This is showing a lot of courage in this letting go. And that makes a lot of sense because part of what we've been programmed and trained to do, it can be very difficult to go against that programming. It can be a hard thing to dissolve, but I see there's fire on the sides of the sword and light at the very tip of it. So this is all divinely guided and divinely supported. Let me ask next what card can represent supporting us in this letting go period. Also, a bit of a side tangent, but I had the insight a couple weeks ago that for women, I never made the connection that usually your menstrual cycle happens around the full moon. And the full moon is also representative of a cycle of shedding and letting go. And it was very interesting to me to consider when you're on your menstrual cycle, you feel sometimes more sensitive, more emotional. For me, I can get in my head more. There might be things that come up, like, you feel a little bit gross, like you don't really feel great. And on other days of the month, that doesn't necessarily come up. So I had this realization that our bodies and our spirit are in collaborative flow. Again, another period pun. To help us recognize what is ready to be shed, what we can let go of, both within our body and ourselves, but also within our beliefs and our behaviors, letting us know what's causing us pain that we don't look at all the time, that we can process, release, and dissolve. Okay. Just a fun side I felt called to share. So let's see, what is guidance that can help us to support us in letting go? Okay, so here's the card. I'm seeing the color purple. Okay, so what does this represent? Supporting us in letting go and shedding old ideas, had to do with the patriarchy and rigidity and structure in a way that was draining. Okay, that's a really beautiful metaphor. Okay, so the purple that I saw turned into a river. And the message that was coming through that's very important for us to consider is changing from belief systems that valued accomplishment, success, and productivity in the formal structures, the 40-hour work week, the very linear based time and goal setting sort of patriarchal ideas. They have caused us to place a lot of our value, our own self-worth, on what we get done and how much that we get done. And what I was seeing as this purple waving curtain became a river was when you connect to a river or you see a river, whether it's from here or it's here or it's here, right? Like the Nile is the longest river in the world, but there's not a part or a section of the river that is separate from itself or that is more valuable. This metaphor was coming through to demonstrate that everything is part of the process, and there's not more value or self-worth that you can assign to yourself at the end of a process when something has been completed and achieved than you can at the beginning of the process, because it's all part of the growth experience, it's all part of the creation journey. And that first idea that you have when you're beginning the creation is just as valuable as the middle part where you're developing it and it's growing and it's evolving is just as valuable at the end when it's completed. So this guidance that's coming through to support us in letting go and moving into more of a flow state is that your worth and your value is not dependent on how much you do, what you're doing, or what you get done. Your value and your self-worth stays the same the entire time. And it's helpful for us to reframe when we feel like not getting something done. I know this is very, for me personally, I can feel like a failure if there's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time or something that was on my list and I put it off, or for whatever reason it doesn't get accomplished. That's when I can gently remind myself to trust the process and to trust my own intuition and my own wisdom. Because sometimes in our more divine state, it's important for us to rest. Sometimes in our more divine, fully conscious state, we know on a higher level, hey, actually, you can still get that done with a lot less efforting if you just wait, because there's an appropriate connection or there's an idea that's waiting for you that's going to make this so much easier. But following our patterns and our structures of how we've grown up, the idea is usually don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. And we don't have that evidential, tangible, physical data to say, to support, yeah, it's actually better to put this off. So then we might fall into a pattern of thinking, what's wrong with me? Why haven't I done this? Why do I keep pushing it off? So the what can support us, the card is light beings. I think this is a really beautiful representation of the message that was coming through. Of this represents our connection to the cosmos, our connection to everything that's so much bigger than us. and our ability to receive messages and downloads that can support us in doing the things that we want to do and we want to achieve. And also having the support to help us discern what's important to us and what's not. And I also see in this card, this person is looking at the planet, looking at Earth. And I see this as being representative of the Earth that we're creating. So while we're letting go of the old pattern, we want to keep our vision on what we want to create instead. I'm hearing it's important not to get too caught up in the idea of like what's broken or what needs to be changed, so much as envisioning what is preferable. What do we want to create that's supportive to our nervous systems, to the planet, to each other? What's more moving in a direction of love and peace? Okay. And it feels like there's one more card, one more message that wants to come through. Okay. And what is this message about? Okay. So it feels like this message is a little bit about what was just said about this creation of new earth and the dissolution of old systems, old ideas, old versions of self. Okay, so what about the creation of the new earth? What is this message here to support? What I was seeing with this message is the image of our energetic creation center, which don't worry at all if this doesn't resonate or doesn't make sense to you, but there is a point that exists within our energy field that is creating what we see. There's a projection point that assembles everything that we're thinking, feeling, all aspects of our conscious that direct and filter what possibilities are in alignment with us. So in this image that I was seeing, felt like a reminder that when we want to create a new world, the best way to do so is actually to focus within our own personal world because we're creating our personal reality and we are all interconnected. So the healing that you do for yourself is just as vital for you as it is for the world because everything you do has an impact. We're not separate from each other. We're all made of the same stuff. We're all made of the same atoms. Quantum entanglement shows that we all have an influence on each other, what we're thinking, feeling, behaving, believing. Okay. So within your own personal world, the changes in your perspective and perception are so precious, so valuable, so significant. When things feel quite heavy and it feels like we don't have a lot of control and everything around us is in chaos, this is a very important reminder that our highest level of influence starts with us. That can help shake off some of that heavy feeling and the burden to know that we're all in this together and we're all doing it in our own way, at our own time, in our own pacing. Okay, so let me see, what is the guidance specific for focusing on our internal world to heal our external world? Okay. I heard it's coming back to our heart space, coming back to love. That's what it all comes back to. And part of the shifts that are occurring in drastic changes of the way that we live our lives and the ways that we think and we feel, part of patriarchal society, linear ways of thinking, um, not only was hard work valued and productivity and what you're doing, but also logical thinking, critical thinking, using your mind. And the mind is a beautiful tool. Logic is something that is very useful because intuition, the information that comes to us from the quantum field, from the non-physical reality, from our higher self. You can even call it your subconscious mind if that fits better with your worldview. It's not reached through the logical mind. And there's a lot more data points in the intuition. Generative logic, you only know what you know. With generative intuition, there's a lot more information available to you to create new solutions from. And we can reach our intuition, We can connect to that part of us that has full awareness of the non-physical and the quantum field through our heart. It's coming back into our heart space to more fully embody our new ways of being. Okay. So I'm hearing why this is important is because it's very difficult to become a new version of yourself. It feels very raw. It feels very ungrounding. It's new. You haven't had this set of beliefs or made these sorts of choices or had these types of thoughts before because you're a new person. All of this has changed. And that can feel kind of scary and unsettling. And it takes time for us to catch up with our new selves. Our ego and our friends and our external world may continue to see us as the way that we have always been. So it's up to us and using our intention and our will to continuously act from that new identity. So when it feels ungrounding or you feel uncertain and something feels like I'm doing this in a different way, it's possible that you might have critical thoughts about that, that it might feel like, well, what's wrong with me? Or why am I doing things like this or not doing things anymore? What's changed? And it feels uncomfortable. And that can create anxiety. And then that makes it difficult to trust your intuition and to trust these changes. So when you move into your heart space, anytime that you feel unsure, you can connect with yourself to see, even if it feels different, even if this feels uncomfortable, does it feel better here? Is there something in my heart that's telling me this is right? And it's also a helpful way to connect to that compassion for yourself and that kindness. It's a much not easier, it's much more supportive for ourselves and our evolution and our growth if we can treat ourselves kindly and to catch when we have a critical voice then when we are unconscious to that and we allow the critical voice to dominate and to perhaps stunt our growth and stop us from changing and doing things because it feels scary. Okay, so this final card, nothing has gone wrong. It's so fun. I love reading cards this way because it's so so validating to receive the messages and then see how closely it aligns. Yeah. So I totally see this card as being related to everything I just said. It's that balance, that rebalancing, the masculine, feminine being at the heart of everything. I also see the four different points, the directions. There's some kind of Buddha faces on this card and some dragons. It might be kind of hard to see. There's the Buddha face and there's dragons kind of at the top. So this is showing as well that we have all of the guidance. We have everything we need. We have full support, not only from ourselves, but from the non-physical world. They're here cheering us on, giving us messages just like this one to let you know that you're on the right path. Nothing has gone wrong. Everything is actually going right. And trust that in this process of letting go and the full moon. So let me know if any of that resonated. Please share in the comments if you got any kind of insights or if something felt particularly validating or if you have any questions. And in the meantime, love and light to everyone. Hang in there and happy full moon.